Tonight, there is no need to think about the coming day. Let the concerns of the world you know fall away, like autumn leaves drifting from a tired branch, returning to the quiet earth. Allow the sounds around you to fade into a distant hum, unimportant and far away. Feel the weight of your own body, the gentle pull of gravity, and then let that feeling dissolve too. You are becoming light. You are becoming still. Tonight we do not seek answers in the bright, loud world of the chaos, living. Instead, we listen to the whispers from the shadows. We take a journey to a gray and silent shore, a journey that every hero and every commoner of the ancient world knew they must one day take. A journey that begins not with the cry of a newborn, but with the final, softest sigh. The connection to your life phrase. It is not a violent severing, but a slow, gentle fading, like a tapestry unraveling thread by thread. First, the colors of the world you knew begin to desaturate. The vibrant crimson of a sunset you once cherished, a spectacle of orange and purple fire now cools and thins. The fire becomes a dull, listless rust, then a smear of charcoal, and finally it dissolves into an unforgiving ash. The deep, verdant green of a summer leaf, full of life and sunlight, thins to a pale, sickly olive, then to the brittle brown of decay, and finally to the color of dust. The brilliant blue of the sky, once a vast and hopeful canopy, becomes a washed-out, hazy white, before dissolving entirely into a universal shadowless gray that holds no warmth and no cold. It simply is. The world loses its vibrancy, its distinctness, its very life, leaving your awareness floating in a world of monochrome mist. Then the sounds follow. The sharp, clear notes of a distant lyre, a melody that once brought you joy or sorrow, begin to lose their edges. The notes blur together, becoming muffled, indistinct, as though you are hearing them from the bottom of a deep, still lake. The boisterous laughter from a nearby tavern, the rhythmic call of a street vendor, the comforting sound of your family's voices, they all lose their direction, their source, their meaning. The laughter and the weeping become one and the same, a single, low, undifferentiated hum that vibrates without purpose. And then that hum itself fades, pulling away from your consciousness until all that is left is a silence more profound and more absolute than any you have ever known. It is the silence that existed before sound was ever created, a heavy ancient quiet that presses in on all sides. The final thread snaps, and you are untethered. There is no pain, there is no fear. There is only a profound and quiet transition, a sense of having stepped out of a heavy suit of armor you did not even know you were wearing. You are now a shade, an eidolon, a faint echo of the person you once were. Your consciousness, your sense of I, is still intact, but your physical form is now just a memory. You try to feel the ground beneath your feet, but there is nothing. You try to feel the air on your skin, but you have no skin. You try to clench a fist, but you have no hand. You exist in a state of pure, untethered awareness, a thought floating in a place made of thought, a faint mist of memories without the body that created them. You are not alone in this new, gray existence. A presence manifests beside you. It does not startle you. Its arrival is as natural and as silent as the setting of the sun. It is the god Hermes, but not in his guise as a swift messenger of Zeus, crackling with energy and wit. Here he is Psychopompus, the guide of souls. He is lean and graceful, his form defined but subtle against the gray mist, as if he is only partially in this realm. He wears a simple traveler's hat, the petasos, and on his feet are his famous winged sandals, the talaria. But the wings do not beat. They hover silently, holding him just above a ground that does not exist, stirring not a single mote of dust. In his hand he carries the caduceus, his serpent-entwined staff. You look closer and see the two serpents are not carved, but living. They move in a slow, endless, hypnotic dance around the staff, their scales shimmering with a faint otherworldly light, their unblinking eyes holding all the secrets of the world. The staff itself emits a soft, calming energy, a gentle thrum of divine order that soothes your confusion and quiets any burgeoning fear. Hermes does not speak to you with a voice. His guidance is a gentle, insistent pull on your spirit, an undeniable understanding that you are to follow him. His presence is one of calm efficiency, of a divine being performing a necessary and ancient task with grace and compassion. He is the ferryman before the ferryman, the one who guides souls from the edge of the living world to the edge of the underworld itself. You begin to move, following the silent lead of your divine guide. Hermes, there is no conscious decision. To walk, no command sent from brain to limb. Your spectral form, your eidolon, simply glides forward, drawn by the irresistible calming pull of the caduceus he holds. It is an effortless and silent procession, adrift through a world that is itself adrift between states of being. The journey is not through a void, but through a strange and melancholic landscape, a place that defies the logic of the world you have just left. It is a world of mist and shadow, a gray, featureless place that is neither life nor death, but a long and winding corridor between them. There is no sun, no moon, no stars, only a high perpetual twilight that emanates from the very air itself, a light that illuminates nothing and casts no sharp shadows. As you travel, your awareness expands, and you realize you are not alone with your guide. At first, you see only one or two other forms, like other motes of dust, caught in the grayness, also moving with the same slow, inexorable purpose. But soon, your path merges with others, and you realize you have joined a vast and silent river of souls, a procession flowing from all corners of the world you left behind. There are thousands, millions, an uncountable host of the newly dead. There are kings here, their spectral crowns barely visible, a faint tarnished outline of their former glory, their regal pride now just a faint memory that gives their shoulders a ghostly slump. Their regal forms, once draped in purple and gold, are now no different from the humblest servant who drifts beside them. There are soldiers, their ghostly wounds still visible as dark patches on their ethereal forms, their swords and shields still hanging at their sides, now useless and without weight, mere symbols of a life of conflict that has no meaning here. There are mothers still cradling the faint outline of a child, and old men whose backs are still bent from a lifetime of labor. All are equal here, all are silent. The only sound is a collective, faint, whispering sigh that rises from the great procession. It is not a sound of individual grief, but a shared atmospheric sorrow, like the sound of a dry breeze passing through a vast field of dead leaves. It is the sound of 1,000,000 lives being shed, 1,000,000 memories unspooling. and fading into the mist. It is the collective exhalation of identity, the sigh of personalities dissolving. You are one among this vast and silent river of souls, all flowing together towards the same inevitable destination, your own quiet sigh joining the endless, sorrowful chorus. The shades do not look at one another. Each is an island of fading memory, locked in its own quiet internal world, aware of the others only as a fellow presence in this great, slow tide. There is no community here, only a shared, silent, and deeply personal journey towards the heart of the underworld. After a time that has no measure, the silent procession continues its slow, inexorable drift. The dry, dusty earth begins to give way to a cold, clinging mud. The air grows colder, damper, carrying a new scent, not the fragrance of life, but the ancient, clean smell of wet stone, of deep, sunless caves, and of old, undisturbed earth. Then you notice the absence of a sound you had grown accustomed to, the collective, sighing whisper of the shades, the sound of millions of memories fading, finally ceases. An even deeper silence falls upon the great congregation, a silence born of reverence and a profound, quiet dread for what lies ahead. The entire river of souls comes to a silent halt. You have reached the edge of the world of shades. Before you lies the great, dark expanse of the River Styx. At the river's edge, the divine guide, Hermes Psychopompos, fulfills the final part of his duty. He has led you safely from the world of light to this, the first great barrier of the true underworld. He does not offer words of encouragement or farewell. His task is one of passage, not of comfort. With a final silent nod that seems to encompass all the sorrow of his ancient office, his form begins to dissolve. He does not walk away, but fades back into the gray mist from which he came, his winged sandals and serpent staff melting into the twilight, until all that is left is the cold, heavy air and the silent company of the dead. The calming energy of his caduceus withdraws, and for the first time you feel the raw, unmitigated atmosphere of this place. It is a feeling of absolute finality, of a door having been closed and locked behind you forever. You turn your full attention to the river itself, and its sight chills your very essence, a dread that transcends the memory of mortal fear. The river is vast, its far bank completely obscured by a thick, swirling, impenetrable mist that promises only more sorrow and more grayness. The water itself is not water as you knew it. It is a slow, heavy, oily liquid as black as polished obsidian, and it seems to drink the very light from the air, leaving a void where reflections should be. It does not flow with a noticeable current. It moves with a deep, silent, inexorable purpose. You understand that this is not merely water, but a liquid manifestation of cosmic law. This is the river upon which the gods themselves swear their most unbreakable vows, and to break such an oath would mean an age of punishment even for an immortal. The river is made of broken promises and binding dread. To touch it, you sense, is to be paralyzed by an unending despair, to have the last vestiges of your mortal hope dissolved into its black, silent depths. No waves lap upon the shore. The surface is unnervingly still, broken only by the slow, mournful eddies that swirl without reason, as if something heavy and ancient and full of sorrow is stirring far below. dreaming of forgotten regrets. The bank upon which you now stand is not made of sand or soft earth, but of a cold, clinging gray mud and smooth, dark pebbles, worn down by the shuffling, spectral feet of countless souls who have stood here before you waiting for this moment. You can feel the collective weight of their waiting, an eternal moment of transition that never truly ends, imprinted upon the very ground. The great procession of shades has now separated into two distinct groups. Most, like you, stand in a silent, dignified, and patient crowd at the very edge of the water. They are the fortunate, the ones who were given their proper rights in the world above, the ones who were buried by loving hands. But then your awareness is drawn to the other group. These shades are more translucent, more sorrowful, and they do not wait at the bank with the others. They wander aimlessly along the shoreline, their forms flickering like weak flames in a strong wind. They wail, but it is a thin whispering sound that is barely audible, a sound of pure, unending frustration. These are the ataphioi, the unburied, and their fate is a quiet and terrible one. You focus on the shade of a soldier, his spectral armor, still showing a great dark gash across the chest. He paces back and forth, a path worn into the mud over an eternity of repetition. His ghostly eyes are fixed on the far shore, a look of eternal confused frustration etched into his very essence. He wrings his hands, a gesture repeated 1,000,000,000 times, a perfect pantomime of his earthly anxiety now made eternal. Beside him you see the shade of a woman, her form forever clutching at a space where a child once was, her eyes forever searching the crowd for a face she will not find here, a soul lost at sea. These spirits represent all those whose bodies were left to the elements, or whose kin neglected their sacred duty. Without the ritual, without the journey being properly marked and paid for, the cosmos cannot recognize their transition. They are trapped. They are doomed to wander these gray shores for 100 long years, watching countless others make the crossing they are denied, until their penance is complete and they are finally, mercifully, allowed passage. A quiet sense of profound gratitude fills you as you feel the phantom weight of your own coin, the obelisk. It is a spiritual reality established by the love of those you left behind. It feels like a small, cold point of reality in your otherwise ethereal form, a single solid truth in a world of mist and shadow. It is not just payment. It is a symbol of your connection to the living, a testament that you were loved enough, remembered enough, to be sent on your way correctly. It is your passport, your final connection to the world of purpose, and a shield against the eternal, aimless wandering you now witness. As you stand among the silent, waiting souls, you look out across the black, still water, and you wait. The air is heavy with resignation. The wait is the final state of being before the last border is crossed. You might stand among the waiting, a silent member of a silent congregation. The gratitude for your own proper burial is a quiet, solitary comfort in this realm of shared, neutral sorrow. As you look out across the black, still water, a change begins on the horizon. After a time that could be an hour or a decade, a single point of sickly, greenish light pierces the oppressive gray mist of the far shore. It does not grow brighter in a comforting way, like a welcoming lantern. Instead, it seems to make the surrounding darkness even deeper, more absolute. a point of decay in the vast emptiness. The light bobs and sways with an unnatural rhythm, and slowly a dark silhouette resolves around it. A small, wretched skiff emerges from the dense fog, its form becoming clearer as it glides towards you. The boat itself is a thing of immense age and sorrow. The wood is ancient and splintered, perpetually slick with the black, greasy water of the river. Patches of gray, lifeless moss cling to its sides, and the wood is so waterlogged it seems more stone than timber. It looks as if it were pieced together from 1,000 shipwrecks, each plank imbued with the silent despair of a final voyage. The single battered lantern that hangs from its prow is its only feature, its green light casting long dancing shadows that make the waiting shades look even more ghostly and gaunt. The boat glides towards your shore without a sound, its prow cutting through the black water, but leaving no wake behind it, a vessel that defies the laws of a world you have already left. At its stern stands a single figure, poling the boat forward, with a long, gnarled staff. He is Charon, the ancient and grim ferryman of the Styx. As he draws closer, you can see him more clearly. He is tall and gaunt, his form shrouded in a dark, hooded robe that is tattered and stained with an eternity of age and river mud. His beard is a tangled, dirty gray, and his eyes, visible for a moment as he turns his head, burn with a cold, resentful fire. His expression is one of utter weariness, of an eternal and thankless task performed with a bitter sense of duty. He is not a guide, like Hermes, filled with divine purpose. He is a functionary, a toll collector at the final border, his soul worn as smooth as the pebbles on the shore, his heart hardened by an eternity of listening to the silent grief of his passengers. There is no pity in his gaze, nor is there malice. There is only a profound, irritable indifference to the endless river of souls he is bound to serve. The skiff grinds against the muddy bank with a sound like stone grating on bone, a sound that sends a shudder through the silent crowd. Charon does not speak. He does not need to. He simply extends a gnarled skeletal hand, its palm open. His gesture is a silent, impatient demand. The shades who hold the coin of passage, their forms solid, with purpose, begin to move forward, forming a slow, orderly queue. The unburied shades, the Ataphioi, seem to shrink back, their sorrowful wailing a faint, almost inaudible whisper on the dead air as they watch the procession they cannot join. One by one the worthy present their spiritual coin. You watch as a soul before you, that of an old woman, offers the faint glowing image of an obelisk. Charon takes it without a word, his touch as cold as the river itself. The coin's light is instantly extinguished, and it vanishes into his grasp. He then gestures with his head for the soul to board the skiff. The old woman steps on, and the boat rocks slightly, a sound that is loud and jarring in the oppressive silence. Then it is your turn. You step forward, and the ferryman's fiery, impatient eyes fall upon you. You feel his gaze not as a look, but as a weight, an ancient weariness that judges your worthiness to cross. You present the essence of your own coin, the final gift from the world of the living. You feel its cold reality leave your being as he accepts it in the same silent, grim transaction. The transfer is complete. You have paid your fare. He gestures. Again, and you step onto the damp, splintered wood of the ferry. It feels real, solid beneath your spectral form, one of the few tangible things in this realm. The wood is slick and cold, and the boat smells of decay and the black river water. A scent of finality. You find a place among a dozen other silent shades, their forms huddled together, none touching, each lost in their own silent world, their journey now in the hands of this grim, eternal servant. Once the boat is full, Charon turns his back on the wailing, unburied souls left on the shore, their century of waiting just beginning. With a single, powerful, resentful thrust of his long pole, he pushes off from the bank. The skiff begins its journey into the heart of the mist. The crossing of the Styx is an experience of profound dread and stillness. The boat moves without a sound, gliding over the oily black surface. There is no current, yet you move forward. You look down into the water and see not your reflection, but faint, writhing shapes in the deep, the forms of oaths sworn and broken. By the gods themselves, of promises unkept by mortals, all trapped here for eternity, their silent screams absorbed by the heavy water. The air grows colder still. The mist that shrouds the far bank seems to writhe and curl as if it were alive, hiding the unknown shore from your sight, swallowing you whole. The only sound is the rhythmic, soft splash and pull of Charon's pole dipping into the black water, a slow, funereal drumbeat marking your passage from one state of being to the next. Splash and pull. The sound repeats, a metronome for eternity. The journey feels as though it lasts a lifetime, a slow procession through a landscape of absolute finality. The shades around you are silent, their forms huddled, their focus entirely on the mist-shrouded shore ahead. The world of the living is now not even a memory. It is an impossible dream from which you have long since awoken. There is only the boat, the silent ferryman, and the black river. Finally, the prow of the boat bumps against the opposite bank, a shore identical to the one you left. The sound echoes a little in the vast silence, a punctuation mark at the end of your passage. You step off onto the cold gray mud, and Charon, without a word or a backward glance, is already poling his skiff back into the impenetrable mist, off to collect his next silent cargo of souls. You are left on the shore, part of a small, huddled group of shades who crossed with you. The air here is different. It is colder, heavier, and carries a strange electric tension, a feeling of being watched by an immense and ancient power. Before you stands the true entrance to the underworld, the great gate of the house of Hades. It is a structure of impossible scale designed to intimidate gods, not just mortals. The gate itself is forged not of wood or iron, but of a dark, unyielding bronze, now covered in a patina of green and black from uncounted ages of damp sorrow and despair. It soars upwards into the gray twilight, its top lost in the perpetual gloom. The surface is not smooth. It is covered in vast dark reliefs depicting the great punishments and the futility of defying the gods. You can faintly make out the image of the Titans being cast down from heaven, their powerful forms writhing in eternal defeat. You see a depiction of the Gigantomachy, the war against the giants, their monstrous forms being buried under mountains by the might of the Olympians. The gate is a testament to the absolute power of the chthonic deities, a silent warning that the laws of this realm are absolute and that rebellion is pointless. There is no lock, no bar, no visible mechanism for opening it. The gate itself is the barrier, and its guardian is its only lock. At first, you only hear it, or rather, you feel it, a low, deep guttural growl that is not a sound in the way you knew it, but a vibration that travels through the ground and up into the very essence of your spiritual form. It is the sound of ancient, divine menace, a territorial warning that shakes the very foundations of this realm. The gray pebbles at your feet tremble with it, and the still, heavy air seems to thicken. Then, from the deep shadows beside the gate, a colossal shape emerges. It moves with a slow, deliberate power, each footfall a soft, heavy thud on the dusty ground, a sound that feels like a slow, approaching doom. It is Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades, the guardian of the gate. He is far larger than any mortal beast, his body a terrifying mass of corded, powerful muscle covered in shaggy, black fur that seems to absorb the dim light around him, making him appear as a hole in the fabric of the underworld. His form is that of a monstrous dog, but the sheer scale of him is divine. Each of his three great heads is the size of a boulder, and each possesses eyes that glow like hot coals, burning with an internal hellish light. From their slavering jaws lined with teeth like sharpened daggers, a black venomous saliva drips and sizzles on the cold ground, carving tiny smoking pits where it lands. A mane composed not of fur, but of living, hissing serpents writhes upon his powerful neck and back, their tiny forked tongues tasting the air, their lidless eyes watching every new arrival with a cold, unblinking malevolence. The three heads move independently, a trinity of vigilance, each with its own purpose. One head looks forward, its gaze fixed upon the crowd of newly arrived shades, its expression one of pure unwavering menace, a silent challenge to all who approach. The middle head seems to look directly at you, its glowing eyes not seeing your past life, but assessing your very nature as a soul, weighing your right to be here with a hungry, ancient intelligence. The third head, however, looks back past you, towards the river you just crossed, a perpetual guard against the one crime this kingdom does not tolerate, the attempt of a dead soul to escape and return to the world of the living. Cerberus is a creature of pure, terrifying power, the ultimate guardian, placed here by Hades to ensure that the fundamental law of the cosmos, that the dead remain dead, is never broken. Yet as you and the other shades slowly, hesitantly approach the gate, the great beast does not attack. The thunderous growl that vibrates through your being subsides into a low, continuous rumble like a distant cage storm. His three heads watch you, their burning eyes filled not with active rage, but with a kind of eternal, weary vigilance. In that moment, a new understanding dawns upon your soul. You realize that Cerberus is not a monster of chaos like the great serpent Apep in the Egyptian Duat. He is a creature of divine order, a powerful and loyal servant of his master. His role is not to punish you, but to enforce a law. To him, you, a dead soul, are not a threat to be destroyed. You are merely another piece of cargo arriving at its destination, another subject entering his master's kingdom. The terror he inspires is not meant for you. It is meant for the living who would dare to trespass here, like Heracles or Orpheus, and it is meant for any shade foolish enough to try and flee. You understand his true purpose is not to keep you out, but to keep you in. This realization does not erase the primal fear his presence inspires, but it transforms it into a profound sense of awe. You are now part of the system that he protects. You are where you are supposed to be. There is a strange comfort in this terrible finality. With this understanding, you join the silent procession of shades shuffling forward. You must walk directly past the great hound to enter the realm beyond. As you draw near, you can feel the immense furnace-like heat radiating from his massive body, a volcanic warmth in the cold, damp air. You can smell the scent of sulfur and ancient rage on his breath, a smell that speaks of the deep earth and of caged primordial power. And you can hear more clearly now the soft, sinister hissing of the dozens of snakes upon his back, a chorus of tiny threats that accompanies your passage. You walk past one of his great paws, each claw as long and as sharp as a mortal sword dug into the gray dust. You pass beneath one of his great slavering heads, and you can hear the low, wet sound of his breathing, a sound that is both terrifying and, in its own way, rhythmic and constant. It is a moment of quiet primal terror, yet it is a necessary. 1. Passing Cerberus is the final, irreversible step. You have now truly entered the land of the dead. There is no turning back. Once past the great bronze gates and the sleepless gaze of Cerberus, the world changes once more. The oppressive, confined feeling of the entrance gives way to a vast and desolate openness. You find yourself on a great plain that stretches to a horizon you can never reach, under a sky that is neither day nor night, but a permanent, unchanging, high-gray ceiling of cloudless, starless twilight. The ground is not mud, but a hard-packed, gray dust that rises in silent, spectral puffs around your feet as you move, settling again instantly in the still, heavy air. There are no features here, no trees, no rivers, no hills, no landmarks of any kind. It is a place of absolute neutrality, a grand and empty stage upon which the final act of your mortal identity will be performed. The air is still and heavy, thick with the weight of countless verdicts delivered over countless ages. You can feel the echoes of every soul that has stood here before you, their lives laid bare, their fates decided. It is a place of profound silence, a silence that waits. In the center of this immense plain, a great dais rises from the ground. It is made of a dark, unadorned marble, its surface smooth and cold, seeming to absorb all emotion, all hope, all fear. 3 magnificent and severe thrones are set upon it, each one carved from a different, otherworldly material, each radiating its own unique aura of authority. This is the place of judgment, where the path of your afterlife will be irrevocably decided. You are drawn forward, not by a physical force, but by an undeniable cosmic imperative. The silent procession of shades you traveled with shuffles to a halt before the dais, forming a great, quiet assembly, waiting for their turn to be seen, to be known, to be judged. The whispering that characterized your journey has ceased completely. Here, even the echoes of memory are silent, out of respect or fear for the figures who preside over this realm. Seated on the central throne is Minos, the former king of Crete, now the chief justice of the underworld. His throne is of dark, polished basalt, severe and angular, without comfort or adornment, a seat of absolute and final authority. He holds a great golden scepter, not as an ornament, but as a tool of his office. the instrument with which he will indicate the final verdict. His face is a mask of stern neutrality, his brow furrowed not with anger, but with the immense concentration required to perceive the totality of a human life in a single instant. His eyes are the most terrifying part of his presence. They do not just see you, they pierce through your spectral form, through every layer of self-deception and memory that you have built, and see the very core of your intentions, the unvarnished truth of your character. His aura is one of unshakable finality. He is the arbiter, the one whose perception confirms the balance of your life. To his right sits his brother, Rhadamanthus, who was once known as the Lord of Elysium. His throne is carved from a faintly glowing white material that seems to hum with a gentle, almost imperceptible warmth. He was known in life for his unwavering righteousness, and he now judges the souls of those who come from the east. His face is less severe than Minos's, and his ancient eyes hold a hint of profound sorrow, a deep understanding of the immense struggles, the passions, and the temptations of mortal life. His aura is one of consideration, of weighing not just the deeds, but the context and the heart behind them. He seeks out the threads of virtue, however small, in the complex tapestry of a soul's existence, for it is his domain, the paradise. Of heroes, that is the ultimate, if rare, reward. To Minos's left sits Aeacus, once a king so famously just that the gods themselves sought his counsel in their disputes. He is the guardian of the keys of the underworld, and he judges the souls from the west. His throne is of solid, unyielding granite, as plain and as absolute as the law itself. His expression is one of pure, incorruptible adherence to principle. His gaze is not compassionate, nor is it cruel. It is simply measuring, like that of a master architect assessing the structural integrity of a building, searching for any flaw, any weakness, any deviation from the cosmic blueprint of justice. His aura is one of mathematical, cold precision. There is no room for pity or exception in his judgment, only the hard, unchangeable facts of a life lived. Together, these three form the divine tribunal, the final accounting for every mortal soul. The shades approach the dais one by one, summoned by an unseen force. The weight feels like an eternity in itself, standing in the silent crowd, knowing your turn will come. You watch as other souls glide forward, stand before the judges for a silent moment, and are then directed towards one of the diverging paths. There is no protest, no argument. There is only quiet, absolute acceptance. Finally, you feel the gentle, irresistible pull. It is your turn. You glide from the crowd to the foot of the dais, and the combined gaze of the three great kings falls upon you. The judgment is at hand. You stand at the foot of the great dais, a single silent shade before the immense authority of the divine tribunal. The combined gaze of the three great kings, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, falls upon you, and you feel a sensation of being utterly and completely exposed, as if your very essence were a scroll unrolled for their inspection. There is no questioning, no testimony. The process here is more direct, more profound, and in some ways more terrifying. It is a judgment of your entire being, your entire life, from your first breath to your last, is laid open to their divine sight. It is not a parade of memories, not a film of your deeds replayed. It is a direct perception of your soul's texture, a psychic wave of experience that the judges read in a single silent moment. You are drawn into this review, forced to look upon the unvarnished truth of your own soul. You feel again the quiet, spreading warmth of an act of kindness you performed when no one was watching. You feel not the pride of the act, but the simple, harmonious resonance of that moment, an echo of cosmic order. You feel the sharp, cold sting of a cruel word you spoke in a moment of anger. You feel not just the memory of the sound, but the shard of jealousy or fear that prompted it, a discordant note in the song of your life. You relive a moment of great fear and the small, hard kernel of courage that allowed you to overcome it. The judges perceive not the victory itself, but the quality of that courage, the weight of the fear it had to conquer. You are confronted with a secret shame, a moment of weakness or selfishness, not for condemnation, but for simple, stark acknowledgement as part of the whole. They see not just what you did, but why you did it. The purity or the corruption of your intent is as clear to them as the difference between day and night. The deliberation is a thing of profound, divine silence. The three judges do not speak to one another. There are no arguments, no debates, for there is nothing to debate. The truth of your soul simply is. A slow, almost imperceptible exchange of glances passes between them, a communion of minds that transcends all need for language. Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus see the same truth in you, and they come to the same single, irrefutable conclusion. The entire process takes but a moment, yet it feels as though they have known you for an eternity and have seen every secret corner of your heart. The verdict is not spoken. It is a gesture. Minos, the Chief Justice, slowly raises his great golden scepter. There is no anger in the movement, no celebration. There is only the quiet, immense finality of a cosmic law being executed. The scepter seems to gather the dim, gray light of the plane, concentrating it into a single point of undeniable authority. He points. His scepter indicates not to you, but to one of three paths that fork on the plain beyond the dais, each leading to a different, eternal horizon. As he points, your awareness is drawn to the three paths, and you are granted a brief, powerful vision of what each one represents. The first path is a dark, downward-sloping fissure in the gray landscape. Jagged volcanic rocks line its entrance, and from its maw you can feel a faint hot wind blow, carrying with it the smell of sulfur and old bitter regret. You hear the distant ghostly echoes of eternal torment, not loud chaotic screams, but the endless monotonous sounds of futile labor. The great stone of Sisyphus grinding against the hill, the splash of water that Tantalus can never drink, the fiery whoosh of Ixion's spinning wheel. The oppressive feeling of absolute hopelessness that emanates from the opening is a physical force. This is the path to Tartarus, the pit of damnation reserved for the truly monstrous, for those who lived lives of exceptional hubris and cruelty against gods and men. Then your vision shifts to the second path. It is narrow and difficult to see, almost hidden. It seems to glow with a faint, warm, golden light. It is from here that the gentle, fragrant breeze you perceived in Elysium, the divine zephyr, originates, carrying the scent of unknown beautiful flowers. You can hear the faintest strains of an ethereal lyre and the sound of joyful, peaceful voices engaged in noble conversation and poetic recitation. It is a path that radiates hope, peace, and honor. This is the path to Elysium, the Isle of the blessed, a paradise reserved for the greatest of heroes, the most virtuous of souls, and those with a special intimate connection to the gods. Finally, your awareness settles on the third path. It is wide, straight, and gray. Its surface is the same packed dust of the plain, and it stretches forward into the same unchanging twilight horizon. It is not menacing, nor is it inviting. It simply is. You see the endless, silent procession of countless other shades already, walking upon it, their forms shuffling forward without purpose or passion. The air around this path is utterly still. There is no scent. The only sound is the faint collective sighing of the shades upon it. This is the path to the Fields of Asphodel, the path for the ordinary, the neutral, the vast majority of humanity, who are neither paragons of virtue nor monsters of sin. It is the path of cosmic indifference, of things returning to a baseline state of being. The scepter of Minos points directly down this middle road. You feel no anger at this verdict, no sense of disappointment. You feel no relief at having avoided Tartarus, nor any sorrow at being denied Elysium. There is only a profound and quiet acceptance. Your life has been weighed, measured, and seen for exactly what it was. The judgment is just. The process is complete. Your place in this eternal kingdom has been assigned. With a final silent nod of acknowledgment to the great judges, you turn away from the dais. You join the great slow-moving river of souls, and you take your first step onto the wide gray road that leads to your eternity. The judgment is passed, your fate is sealed, and a quiet sense of finality has settled over you. Yet, before you reach your eternal home, there is one more part of this realm that you must understand. The path you are on veers close to the edge of a great chasm, a sheer cliff that descends into an impenetrable, humming darkness. As if guided by an unseen current, your spectral form drifts towards the precipice. You are not being condemned, but you are being made to bear witness. This is the border of Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, a cosmic prison forged for the greatest of sinners, for the titans who warred with the gods, and for those mortals whose hubris was so great that it offended the very fabric of the cosmos. As you stand at the edge, you feel a faint, hot wind rise from the depths, carrying with it a smell of sulfur, of burning rock, and of old, bitter, unending regret. You hear a sound, not the whispering of shades, but a low, vibrating hum of eternal, monotonous torment. It is not a place of chaotic, passionate screams, for passion is a quality of life. This is the sound of endless, grinding despair, the sound of souls worn down to a single, repeating, painful function. You do not enter, for your soul has been judged and spared this fate, but your spiritual sight is granted the power to pierce the gloom, to see the great lessons carved into the fabric of this terrible place. The first scene that resolves before your eyes is that of a steep, barren hill, its face worn smooth by an eternity of useless, repetitive effort. Upon this hill you see the powerful form of Sisyphus, once a king so clever he was said to have cheated death itself twice. His spectral muscles, though made of shadow, strain and bulge with an immense and unending exertion. He is pushing a great, perfectly round boulder up the punishing slope. You can almost feel the sharp grit of the rock under his ghostly feet, the immense crushing weight of the stone as it resists his every motion, the burn of eternal labor in his spiritual limbs. He pushes with all his might, his entire being, his very identity, focused on this single, agonizing task. He heaves and strains, his form trembling with the effort. For a moment it seems he will succeed. The boulder teeters on the very crest of the hill, poised between accomplishment and failure. A flicker of something that might have once been hope, now just a cruel memory of it, crosses his face. And then, inevitably, with a slow, heartbreaking certainty, the boulder slips from his grasp. It tumbles, slowly at first, then with gathering speed, crashing and bouncing down the long slope, until it comes to rest at the very bottom with a deep, resonant thud that echoes through the pit. Sisyphus watches it go, his form sagging not with surprise, but with the soul-crushing certainty of his fate. He does not weep, he does not cry out. He simply turns, his shoulders slumped in a gesture of absolute defeat, and begins the long, slow walk back down the hill to start his task anew. His punishment is not just the labor itself, but the eternal proximity to a success that will never, ever be achieved. It is the perfect cyclical consequence for a man who thought he could outwit the gods and defy the natural order of life and death. Your gaze shifts, drawn to another part of the great pit. There you see a cool, clear lake, its surface impossibly still and inviting. Standing in the water, up to his neck, is the regal figure of Tantalus, a king who once was so honored he was invited to dine at the table of the gods themselves. Above his head hang the low, heavy branches of a fruit tree, laden with the most perfect, ripe, and fragrant pears, pomegranates, and figs, their surfaces gleaming with moisture. Tantalus is tormented by a raging, unquenchable thirst. His spectral lips are cracked and dry. He lowers his head, his movements slow and full of desperate hope, to drink from the clear water. But just as his lips are about to touch the surface, the water level recedes, sinking into the ground and leaving behind only black, cracked mud. A moment later, the water seeps back up, clear and cool as before, forever tempting, forever just beyond his reach. He is also tormented by a gnawing, desperate hunger that hollows out his very essence. He raises a trembling hand to pluck a piece of luscious fruit from the branches above, but just as his fingers are about to grasp a ripe fig, a sudden wind, appearing from nowhere in the still air of Tartarus, whips the branches up and away, just out of his grasp. His punishment is the eternity of being surrounded by everything he desires, to be on the very brink of satisfaction, yet to have it denied for all time. It is the perfect consequence for a man who stole the ambrosia and nectar of the gods and shared their divine secrets with mortals. He sought to possess what was not his, and now he can possess nothing. Then your vision is drawn to a third scene of eternal consequence, perhaps the most dizzying of all. You see Ixion, a king who dared to desire Hera, the queen of the gods. He is not standing, but is bound, spread-eagled to a great wheel. But this is no ordinary wheel. It is a wheel of fire, its spokes and rim made of living flame, and it is winged, and it spins ceaselessly through the darkest voids of Tartarus, never stopping, never slowing, for all of eternity. You feel a phantom vertigo as you watch its dizzying, nauseating, endless rotation. You feel the searing heat of the flames that are part of the wheel itself, a fire that consumes but never destroys. You hear his constant low moan of agony and regret, a sound that becomes part of the very hum of the pit. His punishment is one of endless, inescapable motion, a fiery, revolving torment that mirrors the burning, illicit passion that led him to his doom. He is forever trapped in the cycle his own hubris created. You witness these fates, and a deep, sobering understanding fills your being. This is not arbitrary cruelty. It is a form of cosmic balance, a terrible and perfect justice. Each punishment is an eternal reflection of the sinner's crime, their fatal flaw turned into their unending reality. The punishments are not just acts of retribution. They are lessons, carved into the very fabric of the underworld as a permanent testament to the price of defying divine law. You feel no satisfaction in their suffering, only a profound and chilling sense of order. You turn your awareness away from the great chasm, the images of eternal futile struggle, now a permanent part of your understanding, and you are filled with a quiet, solemn gratitude for your own simple, neutral fate. As you turn from the chasm, another path reveals itself, one you had not seen before. It glows with a soft internal golden light, a stark and beautiful contrast to the oppressive grayness. You feel a divine invitation not to enter as a resident, but to approach as a witness, to see the reward that awaits the truly virtuous. You step onto this glowing path, and the atmosphere changes dramatically. A gentle warmth touches your spectral form. The gray dust gives way to soft, living green grass, and the oppressive silence is broken by the faint, peaceful notes of a distant lyre. The gray sky parts, revealing a perfect, gentle blue illuminated by a benevolent golden light. The path leads you through open gates of pearl and silver into Elysium, the Isle of the Blessed, the final home of those who lived lives of great honor. This realm is everything the underworld is not. It is a place of eternal, perfect life, of light, and of sound. The landscape is one of peaceful, breathtaking beauty. Vast meadows are covered in the most beautiful flowers, their colors more vibrant than any you knew in the mortal world. Great, ancient trees rustle in the divine zephyr, a gentle, fragrant breeze. Through the meadow flows the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, its waters clear and sparkling. You watch as a shade drinks from it, and you see the lines of care on his spectral face smooth away, dissolving the sorrows of mortal life while leaving the glory intact. You see the inhabitants, and they are not the witless, whispering shades of the plain. Their forms are solid, vibrant, radiating a profound peace. They are whole. They are themselves, perfected. In one part of the meadow, you see great heroes from the Trojan War. There is Achilles, his legendary anger now soothed into a serene and noble strength, conversing with his beloved companion Patroclus. Nearby, Ajax and Diomedes are engaged in a pleasant athletic contest, their rivalry now a form of friendly sport. In another part, under a shimmering olive tree, are the poets and philosophers. Homer, his blind eyes now seeing truths deeper than any mortal sight, composes tales of peace, his words causing the flowers around him to brighten. You also see the souls of the common virtuous, a woman who lived a life of quiet kindness, a just man from a small village, a mother who sacrificed everything for her children. Their virtue, whether grand or humble, is honored here. You understand that this place is a testament that a life of honor is not in vain. Its reward is this: an eternity of peace, of meaning, of joyful companionship, and of light. Your time here, your glimpse into paradise, comes to a gentle close. You know this is not your final home. But the vision was a gift, a final lesson from the gods. Your awareness gently withdraws from the warmth and light. You find yourself back on the plane of judgment, the glowing path fading behind you. You turn and face the wide gray road leading to the Fields of Asphodel, your assigned place. But you walk towards it now with a new understanding, your soul forever imprinted with the beautiful, serene image of the heroes at rest, a final poignant memory of the light as you begin your own quiet journey into the eternal twilight. The vision of Elysium fades, and you are left once more on the great gray plain of judgment. The three kings still sit upon their thrones, but their gaze is no longer upon you. With a final silent nod to the divine justice of this realm, you turn and take your first step onto the wide gray road. You join the great, slow-moving river of souls, all shuffling forward into the eternal twilight of the Fields of Asphodel. The road itself dissolves, blending seamlessly into the landscape it leads to. You have arrived. You are now within the endless meadows that are your final home. This is a realm of eternal sameness, of unchanging neutrality. You wander now, not on a path, but through the pale, ghostly flowers of asphodel that give the meadow its name. They are like the memories of flowers, their petals translucent and colorless, emitting no fragrance, nodding silently in a breeze that you cannot feel. Here, in the heart of your new existence, you begin to understand what it truly means to be a shade. A profound change settles over you. The first thing to fade is your thymos, the powerful force of will, of passion, of ambition, the burning desire for honor, the sharp sting of insult, the fierce love for your family. All of it cools and subsides, leaving behind a profound and unshakable calm. With the fading of your will, your memories, too, begin to change. They are not erased, but they lose their emotional weight. They become like paintings in a dark room, images you know are there, but whose details you can no longer quite make out. They are a story you once read about a person you vaguely remember being. As you drift through the endless meadow, you become aware of the constant sound of this place. It is the whispering, the gibbering of the millions of souls that surround you. It is not language. It is the sound of fading consciousness, the faint residual leakage of thoughts and memories, all blending into a single, constant, bat-like sigh that is the true atmosphere of asphodel. You reflect one last time on the visions you were granted. Tartarus is where a soul, defined by its negative passions, is forced to relive that passion forever, in its most painful form. Elysium is where a soul, defined by its noble passions, gets to live in that nobility forever. And then you understand your own place. Asphodel is for those whose passions were not strong enough to warrant either eternal glory or eternal damnation. It is the destination for the vast, quiet majority. Your existence here is not a punishment, nor is it a reward. It is the natural state of things. It is the great cosmic average. You simply lived, and now you simply exist. You find the shades of your own family here, the ones who also walk the middle path. You recognize them, and they recognize you. But the reunion is not joyous or tearful. It is a quiet, silent gathering. You huddle together, a small constellation of familiar shades in a vast galaxy of strangers. There are no words to be said, for the emotions that gave them meaning have faded. There is only a quiet comfort in shared presence, a silent acknowledgement of the life you once lived together. Together you find a place to rest among the pale, ghostly flowers. You settle down upon the dusty ground, your spectral form growing more translucent, more indistinct. The need to wander ceases. The last vestiges of your individual thoughts dissolve into the collective whispering hum of the meadow. Your awareness, once a bright, focused point of an eye, now softens, its edges blurring, gently merging with the eternal twilight. The long journey is well and truly over. There is nowhere left to go. There is nothing left to become. There is only this, a quiet, dreamless, and unending rest in the gray, peaceful fields of Asphodel, forever and ever.